This is an architecture review for Onlook. So a little background is that Onlook used to be an Electron app that runs your Next.js project locally and gives you the ability to visually edit your Electron app. But now Onlook is running on the web. As you can see here, I am running this on localhost 3000, and it remains all of the same functionality, though there are some that is yet to be ported over. It's totally re-architected to work on the browser. And so today I want to walk through how that looks and what that is different. Outlook is open source, has been open source, and will remain to be open source under the Apache 2 license. So that gives me the ability to kind of showcase to the world how an application like this is architected, and hopefully we'll be able to be useful in some form or another. So this is the app again. It is a Next.js app with Tailwind CSS, and what you see, that is this part, is actually an iframe. And so I'm able to interact with this iframe directly. And this is connected to a Next.js server that's served remotely through, right now, Code Sandbox. But we have it set up such that you can use other containers as well. As long as it's served and there's a file system API that it's transposable to what we have, which is just regular CRUD and listening to file changes, then you'll be able to do that. And so this gives us the flexibility to move from Code Sandbox to another hosting provider for the container, or even run and edit locally running containers and code. For now, we're sticking with Code Sandbox as until we figure out what that API final stage looks like. So that's probably a little bit too much context, but you'll see here that this is an iframe that is that we are connected to, and we're also connected to the iframe such that we can read the code. So anything I'm clicking on here is pointing to the corresponding code that is running remotely. So if I type hello there, save, that updates the iframe and the code. And vice versa, I'm also able to, you've seen this, but these aren't implemented yet as dropdowns, I suppose, but able to, this is, change this, and you will see that that has also changed in the code. So how do we do that? I think that part is straightforward, but I will walk through the rest of the architecture now. It is a Bun monorepo with multiple workspaces set up, and all the scripts on top here allows us to run different parts of the monorepo. So the big chunk of the code lives under app, and we have our backend, which is a very basic, super base backend. We're using storage, authentication, and database that we'll go into more details later. And our web, which is actually a super repo with more subrepos underneath, well, submodules, namely the client, which is another Next.js app, the one that we see running here. So that is Next.js, and it is set up similar to how the Electron app was set up, but the difference is it's Next.js, and there's we're using an app router, so all of the pages correspond to the repository structure. And so you'll see that we were under projects ID, we're on the project/ID, there's project/ID/page, which is the entry point to the canvas. And now we're under projects, and there's a corresponding projects page layout, and vice versa. As for state management, we have our, of course, servers with our service API that we're interacting with using TRPC. And we also have our state management done through MobX, and that's under components store, which probably should just be store, not under components. But the stores give us these kind of contexts that are shared across the app and is easily reused. A big one is this editor engine that handles the entire editor canvas, and that allows different parts of the app to communicate and share state, such as this panel talking to this panel, talking to chat, talking to this top bar, vice versa. So that is our store. And then moving outside of the client, the way that we're set up is we have the client that's the Next.js app. We also have a preload script that is a script that is injected in both the iframe on the client and in the app itself, such that it enables two-way communication between our app and the remote app, which is what enables us to do all of the different styling here. Just make that red, changes everything to be red. Cool, because that maps and changes the styling here. And that is done through a preload script, which talks to the iframe and also pulls out some information about the code base that we've injected into the iframe and gives us the tracker such that we can talk to the code sandbox server and write the code that we need at a high level. We also have a server that is a standalone server that we're not using, but this will be used to run a local container if you so choose, and that we think that's more open source friendly. As soon as we figure out what the right API is for that. And we have a template, which is the a template for the Next.js app that is running on the remote machine, and that will be set up to be injected with part of the preload script. We'll leave right here. So that'll be served through a CDN locally. That'll be served through a local host, and that again allows us to talk to that app. And then zooming out of the web itself, we got some interesting packages that is shared across the repository. That some notable ones are the constants that are used across the app, DB, which is powered by Drizzle. This defines the schema for the app. A project, user, canvas, chat are defined here. And Drizzle is just a layer on top of Supabase that allows us to do really quick migration and easier queries for Supabase. It's not necessary, but it's a really nice to have. And it also allows us to seed the database with test values locally, which you'll see in the instructions on our documentation. And we also have the UI, which is a shared UI package with Shadcn and Tailwind. It's also where our theming is defined. And that's where we pull in our components from Shadcn. We also have our models that is shared across the app. That's kept here for reusability as well. And finally, we also have a docs page. This is new. It's a Next.js app with Fuma docs that you can run using Run docs, which powers this docs page that is pointing to the architecture that I'm going through, and also we'll have some more information on running the project locally and how to contribute other features and whatnot. We're slowly building this out as we're building out the web application. So that is the new web version of Onlook. I've been working on this for a couple of weeks now, maybe over a month. And while it is not finished, I'm pretty happy to finally be able to share it. And hopefully this will be useful for people. I think this is the correct path moving forward. This allows a lot of our users who aren't as proficient in coding to be able to set up and run their projects and do all this kind of vibe coding, but also just designing on a real application without needing to set up their machine. And this also helps us be able to debug better as we're able to log into the machine and help people out. I think this is just a better architecture overall compared to the Electron app, though that is more privacy minded. Both can exist and both do, but I'm very excited about this direction and being able to share this. This will be launched to the public very soon, and also will look quite different moving forward as well as we add more things that we have had planned. But that's not the scope of this video. That's all I got. Thanks for listening, and see ya.